Aloha and welcome. In this final video of this chapter, we're going to be talking about OWASP and input validation. So OWASP is the Open Web Application Security Project, and it's a nonprofit foundation that publishes methodologies, documentation, tools, and technologies for raising awareness, improving web application security. Web application security, it's also known as Web AppSec. It seems that everybody loves nice little you know, abbreviations like that. We've got DevOps, we've got SecOps, we've got, all kinds of nice little combinations of words there. But web application security, Web AppSec, it's a set of practices and technologies that enable the creation of secure web applications. So you've got something out there called the OWASP top 10 from the Open Web Application Security Project. And this is the top 10 most common web application security risks. So the risks are based on the frequency of discovered web application security defects, the severity of these vulnerabilities, and the magnitude of the vulnerabilities' potential impacts. So the OWASP top 10 serves as an important checklist and internal web application development standard for most organizations. So you can go through this list, and they have in the book the 2021 OWASP top 10. Up there at the top, number one, broken access controls. You've got cryptographic failures, injections, insecure design, security misconfiguration, the list goes on. So do take a look at that and get an idea of what kind of insecurities or vulnerabilities you do see in web applications these days. Another thing we talk about here is the input validation. I've mentioned this before. Input validation is very important to make sure that you protect your assets here. So input validation, it can prevent a lot of different attacks such as SQL, XML, and LDAP injections that we talked about in earlier sections. And it does that by validating that only valid input is being put into a query or an application. So you've got two different input validation methods. You've got allow lists and block lists, also known as white lists or deny lists, black lists, things like that. So for an allow list, it's a input validation method that ensures that an input matches a set of known good values. So it's going to be comparing it against values that it knows to be good. The opposite side of that is going to be the block list, the deny list, the blacklist, whatever you want to call it. That's an input validation method that ensures that an input does not contain known bad values, such as like single quotes and things like that. So also, you can see block lists, examples of it in mail servers as well as firewall servers. So firewall servers, you'll see an area like where it says that it doesn't accept certain email IP addresses. So it has that in like the remote IP address section. With mail servers, you can have a whitelist. A whitelist is saying that okay, allow mail coming from these servers. You can do that for the block list as well. So don't accept any mail coming from these servers. So you've got two different types of validation with web applications. You can do it on the server side or you can do it on the client side. Server side is going to be a little bit more secure to do it, but people try to do it with the client side first to try to weed out anything that they can, then send it to the server side. So the difference in the two on the server side in input validation, it's going to be performed when server resources are required to validate the input. The server side of it, it's going to be performed using a scripting language, something like ASP.NET, PHP, Python, anything like that can be used to do the actual validation. And since the input received from a client should not be trusted, the server-side validation should be performed on all your inputs. Then on the client side, you can do a number of things in the client side, especially with HTML5 attributes or JavaScript itself, if the attributes don't cover it. But you can do a lot of verification to make sure that things are correct. Like you can put in like email. You can have and if you've got a form, you can specify elements in that form are required. You can do checks to make sure that they're not blank. You can do all kinds of checks like that on the client side. But the reason the client side is a little bit weaker is, even after you do your validation, you can do other types of attacks on it. You can, run, something to corrupt it after it's already been validated and submitted. You can also do not just data at rest, but you can do data in transit type attacks that would modify it, on its way to the server. So that's why the client-side validation, even though it's good to do it, it's not 100%, safe. So you need to also do server-side validation as well. And they give you a nice little example of how to do that. The last thing we're going to talk about here is secure cookies. We're used to general cookies that store information, but the concept of secure cookie, it's a cookie with a secure attribute on it, and that's going to require that the cookie be transmitted over secure channels only, like HTTPS. So when you do this, when you send your cookies through encrypted channels, it increases the confidentiality, that nobody else is able to snoop those things. So that's why we use secure cookies. So that's it for this section. To recap, we talked about OWASP, the Open Web Application Security Project. We talked about the OWASP Top 10, which is the top 10 vulnerabilities that they found, and look through the ones that in your book that they found for 2021, which, yes, is 4 years out of date, but at least it's something you can look through to get an idea of what vulnerabilities they're finding then. We've got input validations, which are, allow and block lists. We also have, we covered server-side validation versus the client-side validation. And lastly, we talked about those secure cookies. So if you have any questions about this, feel free to reach out to me. Other than that, aloha. I'll see you in the next chapter.